Hey guys, so today we are talking about the exercise that is named after the godfather of bodybuilding, and that is the Arnold Press, okay, named after one, the only, the man himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, let's discuss what the concept behind this exercise is and how potentially we could alter it to potentially work a little better in our favor. So Arnold's idea was that he would take his shoulders through a full range of motion by coming all the way down, where potentially with a normal shoulder press we only just go to this portion, okay, and by creating a slight rotation we can come all the way down and then rotate up and press all the way up. So we're getting that little bit of extra range, which is putting a lot more tension on through the muscle. Now, I think it's a fantastic concept. However, when we are coming back down here, if we're in this position here, there's a fair chance we could potentially lose a little bit of tension through the deltoids, and also being in this position here, we're loading the anterior deltoid, so the one that sits at the front here. So I'm a big believer of we actually don't need to rotate all the way back down, but rather just come down to our chest with a neutral hand position and come back up, and that'll keep that tension straight through that anterior head, which is what we're most of the time using when it comes to any press. We're mainly targeting our anterior head, especially with the angle of the bench, and we'll talk about the angle of the bench in just a minute, but also our medial head has a part in, or a role in it. Now, our rear delts do too. They help with the stabilization, but majority of that load is pressing through the anterior head of the delts. Right, so first things first, let's talk about the bench. You can see that this bench is slightly tilted back, and the reason why we want to do that is because we know that with our shoulders, if we round them right off, we can cause things like impingements and a shearing like effect over a long period of time through these tendons, which is going to lead to shoulder injuries, discomfort, and so on. So what we want to do is that we want to pull our shoulder blades back and down, and what happens here is it opens this joint up and allows us to travel quite freely, quite comfortably, and put a lot of load through our shoulders without actually putting them in such a vulnerable position that they're going to get injured. Okay, so how do we pull our shoulder blades back and down, or what are we creating? We're actually creating a flat back, so just like our bench presses and all chest exercises, we still want to employ this tactic for our shoulder presses. So by pulling your shoulder blades back and down, we're creating a nice flat, stable base to press from. Now with your shoulders, your feet can come in and under. That's fantastic. If you want to, your feet can come in in front. Your foot position is very much a comfort thing, but what we are looking to do is create 2 points of contact, or potentially 3, that are a constant. So the constant one is our bum up against the back of the bench, not on the bottom, but on the back, okay? And then number 2 is our shoulder blades pinned back and down on the bench, and this is the position that we want to be in always, okay? So this opens up our chest, keeps us up nice and tall, and keeps us pressing really nicely, okay? How do we get these dumbbells up? One of the hardest points, obviously, if you've got a friend, fantastic, get them to give you a hand. If you are that friend, tell them to spot you from your wrist, not from your elbow, when it comes to getting it up. And the reason being is because, remember, the weight that you can't control is in your hand. So the closer to that weight, that will give you greater assistance. If they press from your elbow, God knows where this weight can go, especially if you lose it, especially if it's excessively heavy, okay? You're relying on your forearm extenders, which is tiny. So I would suggest grab the wrist, help them up, let go slowly so that all your stabilizing muscles in your shoulder can control it, and then from there, press. All right, so let's dive into the exercise, or how to get it up. If you are by yourself, we're going to start on our legs and we're going to lever it up. I would suggest use as much momentum as you possibly can with this particular exercise. So I actually start right up the top of my chair and go pop, pop, and that's the position there. Okay, now from here we're going to press up like we normally would and start this lift as such. Now, the normal, or the most common way in order to do this exercise, we're going to come all the way down and come all the way up. Now, what I find personally is that in this bottom phase here, I lose stimulus through my shoulders. Okay, and that's not what we want to do. We want to keep that tension and stimulus to the, or maybe not stimulus, poor choice of word, but tension through the shoulders. However, if I come down and come in this position, you can feel that anterior delt the entire time, keeps that tension on, and as such, we're nailing that exercise. Now, look, if you want to go all the way down and come down in this position and you feel that anterior delt go nuts, by all means, do the whole rotation. And I do, I'm not going to lie to you, I do float between the two options, okay? But this neutral position here is just as effective in coming up and down as is coming all the way down in the rotation and pressing up like so. What we want to make sure that happens with our lats is that we are always pulling those shoulder blades back and down, pressing from a stable position. Okay, we know that when we get above our head, we're going to engage traps no matter what. That's a given. Okay, anything that presses above our head, we get our traps involved. But by pulling your shoulder blades back and down, your traps shouldn't take majority of the load. Now, don't get me wrong, you're still going to get trap involvement. I don't care what you say. Or who you are, of course you're getting trap involvement if you're pressing above your head. Simple as that. Anyone says, oh, you can take the traps right out of the game if you do X, Y, and Z. Can't, right? Because the whole purpose of the traps is to do what they call scapular elevation. So to do this, all right, the whole purpose of the, and to help you retract, right? Whole purpose of the lats is to help you retract and also depress the scapula. So if we can keep our shoulder blades back and down, and our lats on nice and tight, okay, and we press however we're pressing, whether it be a normal press or an Arnold press, okay, we're going to limit the involvement of the traps, because if we're depressing the scapula, then the traps can't elevate it, and so they can't get involved as heavily. Okay, so it's not about taking them out of the game entirely, it's just about limiting how much involvement they actually have. All right, so that there is the importance of keeping, and also you want to create as much of a stable base as possible when it comes to your press. So you want those shoulder blades pinned back and down and pressing really hard, and as a result, your shoulders should blow right up. But team, that there is how you want to go about executing a Arnold dumbbell press.